Hello there. Happy Money Monday, and welcome back to another episode of the Empowered and Abundant podcast. I am so excited for this episode because it is the end of 2025 at the time of this recording, and for the whole month of December, I have been looking back on the full year and just evaluating, debriefing, reflecting on what did I learn? Where were the wins? Where was the celebrations? Where did I grow? What shifted over this year? And I've really just been reflecting in my business, and there was so much learning and growth and transformation and wins that came out of this year in particular that I decided I wanted to do a podcast series on my 2025 reflections, specifically the biggest contributing factors to my 2025 success. And I worked really hard to boil this down into 4 episodes for you. I honestly could have done it in more. I was like, I could easily do 10 or 20 episodes just on this year alone, but instead I decided to condense it to make it as most impactful and potent as I possibly could. And if I'm being completely and totally honest, I have been dealing with technical issues today. I have spent 2 hours recording and have 0 podcast episodes because I already recorded this episode once and it was lost to the tech abyss. And then I tried again. And so I'm on take 3 right now. But that's okay. I believe this is going to be the best one yet. And then I was just supposed to reiterate this information multiple times for you to make this the best episode ever. And we're going to all pray to the tech gods right now that this episode works and is successfully uploaded. But before we dive into that, I have to let you know that I am going to be hosting an Abundant Entrepreneur Masterclass, which is a free 90-minute masterclass on Monday, January 5th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I'm going to be diving into the 3 things that hold entrepreneurs back from stepping into their most abundant life and abundant business, and the 3 simple steps that you can start taking today to start living your abundant life and creating your abundant business. This is a free 60-minute masterclass with a 90-minute Q&A, and the link to sign up is down below in the show notes. Now, I highly recommend that you attend live so that you can participate in the Q&A section. And let me tell you, these masterclasses are highly valuable. I really go all out for these. I don't spare any details. I don't leave anything on the table. I put my all into these masterclasses, and I am super excited for this one because it's the culmination of 5 years of lessons in entrepreneurship and also as a money and abundance coach. Now, don't worry if you can't make it live. There will be a recording if you sign up. That recording will go out after, but again, if you attend live, you will be getting access to that 30-minute Q&A that happens at the end. So be sure to sign up for the Abundant Entrepreneur Masterclass and mark your calendar for January 5th. Okay, so over the next 4 episodes, I'm going to work backwards, sharing with you the 4 most impactful things that really contributed to my 2025 growth and success. So we're starting first with number 4. Before we dive into that, I want to give you some background on 2025 and a little bit of what that looked like for me. Now, 2025 was a huge, monumental year for me in my business. 3 huge things happened, 3 big wins I experienced this year. The first win is that I crossed the 5-year mark in my business. I started my coaching practice in the summer of 2020, 1 month after I got my bachelor's degree. And I had no idea what I was doing. I just loved coaching, had gotten my coaching certification, and was committed to figuring out how to make money doing something that I love. I was like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. I wasn't focusing on money and abundance. I just was focused on personal growth, personal development, general coaching, cultivating self-trust, self-love, self-confidence, because that was a huge part of my own personal growth journey. And I floundered around for about a year, not knowing what I was doing, who I was coaching, trying a bunch of different things, not making any revenue at all, maybe a couple $100 here and there. And really just trying a bunch of different things, trying to figure it out, trying to get things to work. But I wasn't really successful. And at the time, I was wondering why it wasn't working. Like, what am I doing wrong? I should be making money at this by now. And on the other hand, I was really committed and determined to figuring it out. I spent time working on my business and trying different things and coming up with other ideas. Even for a while, I remember I was selling something called Life Management Systems, which I love the platform Notion, and I created these like Notion organizational templates and tried to sell them and like made a whole course on the side that was like, here's how you use this. That was something that I did. And then I worked with my first business coach, hired her, and created a whole group program called Start with Center, where you would come back to the center of who you are. And I outlined the whole curriculum for the 3-month program. And I created a freebie about helping like high achieving women overcome burnout. And then I did a whole launch promoting that freebie and then selling Start with Center. And that was my first launch. I had 0 sales. That program didn't go anywhere. I never ran that program, right? So that was kind of the first year of my business, was trying a bunch of different things. I did a little bit of like freelance work on the side. I created a whole Notion tech system for a business consulting firm that my mom worked for. So I was like making a little bit of money here and there. I had some barter clients that I was working with, and the occasional paid client with just a handful of sessions with a pretty low rate per session. So that was my first year of business, and I was wondering, why isn't it working? What am I doing wrong? And I really remember crying on calls with my first business coach saying like, I don't get it. I feel like I'm taking all the steps. I'm doing everything right. I'm doing everything that you said, and yet I'm not making money. And at the same time, I was investing in myself. I hired this coach and I had to just like pay my basic bills. And so I was plowing through my savings. And I actually had a savings account from years of managing restaurants and just saving up money. And for the whole first year of my business, that's what I did. I tried to figure out my business. I was frustrated that it wasn't working, and I was using my whole entire savings account to pay for it. And about a year in, I realized that I needed to actually bring in some money, and that it was really important for me to be able to keep going in my business. And so I went back to the restaurant industry and started waiting tables at another restaurant down the street from me. And I went back knowing that I was going to use that money to keep going with my business and to be able to keep investing in myself, keep investing in my growth, and to be able to support myself financially, because I learned that being desperate for money and being in the energy of scarcity makes it really hard to actually make money in your business, because people can feel that in what you're doing. And so it was really important for me to have some financial foundations so that I could keep going in my business. And I wanted to only stay at the restaurant for a year, but I ended up staying there for 3. And that's not what I wanted. It's not what I expected. It's not what I planned. And again, for a while, I was still really frustrated as to why my business wasn't working, why it wasn't generating the amount of revenue that I wanted it to be generating, wondering, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to be doing differently? But around year 2, I had honed in on my niche and my offer. I zeroed in on that I'm going to help people with their relationship with money and step into abundance. And I started the Empowered Abundance program. And it was, I know it was the start of the year. Was it year 2 that I decided, okay, I'm just going to sell Empowered Abundance for one whole year? And that was my decision. And I stuck to that for a whole year. And then I was like, this is what I do. And I kept going with Empowered Abundance and built the program to be what it is now, which is a 6-month group program, which, by the way, enrollment is opening soon for the next round of Empowered Abundance. Enrollment's opening January 12th, and our next round is beginning February 3rd. So just so you know, heads up, that is on the way. So I committed to Empowered Abundance. I zeroed in on my niche, and then for 4 years, worked to sell Empowered Abundance. First, it was a one-on-one with like 6 live sessions, and then it expanded to be a course with 3 months of one-on-one sessions, and then it expanded to be a 6-month one-on-one course with 6 months of one-on-one sessions, and now it's a 6-month group program. So I just committed to that one program and kept going, selling it. And I had several launches that also failed, where I had 0 sales, or I had a few launches where I got like 1 client and I was steadily making more and more money. And that brings us to 2024, where I really worked on transitioning to group, and this year where I committed to doing 4 launches of the group program. And that was my decision for 2025, my goal for 2025, to launch 4 rounds of the Empowered Abundance group program. Now, looking back on my whole 5-year journey, I really see it as the scenic route. I thought that I would be making 6 figures right away within the first 6 months of my business. That didn't happen. And then I expected that I would be able to support myself financially. That didn't happen. Even when I went to the restaurant industry, I expected that I would be able to leave in a year. That didn't happen. I had so many launches where I expected people to say, yes, I expected to, get clients. I expected to sell out. That didn't happen, right? And I just had all of these expectations and all of these goals that I was setting that I was never achieving, which is really funny to look at now, because now I look back at this and I used to make those things mean things about me and mean I wasn't good enough, that I was failing, that I was doing something wrong. It meant things about me. It also meant things about my business. But now I look back and see that these goals that I was setting were totally arbitrary. I was just like, yes, I hope that I can be making this much money in 6 months. Like, I imagine that it's possible for me and that I should be able to do it based on whatever. But it's not like an accurate definition of like how much time or energy or effort it's going to take. And everyone's journey is different to actually creating the vision that you want to create. For some people, it like takes a long time and it's like very, very minuscule growth. And then all of a sudden it just like shoots up overnight, like bamboo. Growing bamboo like sits underground for a really, really long time. And then very quickly it grows very fast, right? Or other people are like pretty consistent, steady growth. It happens right away, but then it just like keeps going. Okay. And for me, it was like the slow and steady winding path, which was really frustrating to me. But looking back, I can contribute this whole year of success, this 2025 year of success, to the momentum that I have been building for the past 5 years in my business. And this is the first big lesson of 2025 that I want to share with you, is that I 100% know that I can contribute this year's success to the fact that I went through years 1 through 4. In fact, I know that it would be impossible for me to be where I am now, living this life that I'm living now, having this business that I have now, had I not experienced everything that I experienced in years 1 through 4. That I had gone through all that I had gone through, that I struggled all the ways that I struggled, and that I failed as many times as I failed, which was literally every single time. Every single time I set a goal or had an expectation, I failed at it. I did not achieve a single one, like numerically, the way that I expected I would achieve it. Now, granted, I gained so much value and so many lessons and so much wisdom and experience as a result of all of those. So I'm not saying I didn't gain value. I'm just saying I didn't hit the goal that I set for myself. But instead of making that mean something about me like I used to, what I do now that I'm 5 years in, is I see that that is all part of the future growth. And I am so grateful looking back at past Scarlett who failed over and over again, because I know that I needed all of those lessons and learnings to get to where I am now. And this is so important to realize as soon as possible, because I also wasted a lot of energy in years 1 through 3 wondering why it wasn't working and what I was doing wrong, and bringing all of this emotional leakage and baggage into my business. I was suffering for longer periods of time. I was debating, failing. I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know where to spend my time. There was so much mind drama. And this is because I was in this energy of failure and it not working and frustration based on these arbitrary expectations of goals that I set. But now in hindsight, I can see all of that contributed to where I am now and the business that I am running now, which is a business that actually does achieve the goals that I set, because that is my other win and celebration for 2025. Is not only did I cross the 5-year in business mark, I also hit my for the first time ever, I was full-time for 1 year in my business. It was the fall of 2024 when I had an opportunity to go on an adventure. And life threw an adventure my way, and I had the opportunity to say yes to it, and I did. Waitressing tables one Sunday, I met a family who was going to travel on their sailboat for 9 months. And I have sailing experience thanks to my mother, who loves sailing and invited me to learn how to sail with her in maybe 2018 in the Boston Harbor. And that was an opportunity to say yes, and I did. And so I have sailing experience. I met these people at this restaurant and said, hey, if you need help on your boat, I know how to sail. And got the invitation to go sail with them on their catamaran off the coast of Maine. And I did that for 2 weeks in the fall of 2024. And then I had other travel planned for the fall of 2024. I was going on a retreat in Mexico. I went to the Enlifted Experience in Texas. And then I had a tattoo scheduled, a shamanic tattoo appointment in Fargo in a 2-week period. I was just Texas, Fargo, Texas, Fargo, Mexico. And so I finished this boat adventure and got the invitation to come back onto the boat. And so I was oh, okay. Life is giving me the opportunity to say yes to something, and it's time for me to take a leap of faith. So I had been fading off at the restaurant industry from 3 days a week to 2 days a week, and I had just made the decision to fade off to 1 day a week, because I know my numbers, I can see my money clearly, and I can make decisions about how to transition based on my time and based on my income. And that's when I got the invitation to keep going on the boat. And so I told the restaurant, I was like, I guess I'm not coming back. I'm sorry. Like, I was actually looking forward to having profit and actually having more money for the first time, because I have been investing so heavily and been in the negative in my business for the past 4 years, and my restaurant was supporting the business. But this adventure is calling, and I can just say yes to it. Like, looking at my numbers and seeing, actually, I can pay all my basic bills and expenses, and my business can support me. So even though it was earlier than I expected, I said yes to that opportunity. I stayed on that boat for 2 whole months, and I took the leap September 29th, 2024 to go full-time in my business. And I knew I could pull it off, but I also didn't know how it was going to last, because business is volatile. It's unpredictable. You don't know how it's going to go. And so it was really scary. But I stepped into it and knew it was going to be okay no matter what, and that I could take the risk, and I did. And so that was something that I experienced for the first time in 2025, was a full year being a full-time business owner and living my whole entire life solely supported by the revenue generated in my business. And I did it. I crossed that 1 year mark. And at the time of this recording, I am still doing that. So that was another huge, massive milestone that I experienced in 2025. And the third milestone that I experienced in 2025 was hitting, for the first time ever, a goal that I set for myself. Right? Which is so crazy that it took me 5 years to achieve a goal. But honestly, I'm so glad that it happened this way. It makes for such a good story. It feels so validating. It's like so amazing. And also it taught me that goals are really arbitrary as well too. And we don't need to make these goals mean anything about us unless it means something like positive and validating and good. Then go for it. Make it mean all the most amazing things about you. And I am making all these wins mean, like, heck yes, I am a legit business owner. Like, that is the reality that I am living in right now. So I achieved a goal. I achieved the goal to hit $100,000 of cash business revenue in my business. And I actually achieved that goal. In a 12-month period of time, I generated $100,000 of revenue cash, and I had been working on that for so many years. And when I look back at the past 5 years, I actually was on track to achieve this, even though I was a little unsure of if I would achieve it going into the year, with that being my goal, my commitment, my priority, my thing that I was working towards. I didn't really know if I was going to pull it off, especially based on my track record of achieving goals. But also there was another part of me that looked back and saw technically my revenue has increased year after year, and even has doubled year after year. It started off small, it was like $1,300, and then up to like $3,000 or $6,000. And, 2024 was $50,000. And so I knew, like, I can double. That's what I do, is I have been doubling year after year. So let me do that for 2025. And I actually did, which was a huge quantum leap moment. But I never would have gotten here had I not had years 1 through 4. Years 1 through 4 allowed me to step into the person who could do the work required to be full-time in business for a year, to be able to support myself financially based on business revenue, to commit to my business for 5 whole years, even when it was hard and challenging and I wasn't moving as fast as I expected. I needed to learn so much. I needed to become a totally different person than I was in the beginning. And even though I was passionate about personal growth and I thought I had a lot of my shit together, the reality is that I needed to do so much more. I needed to do so much more deep healing. I needed to think differently about myself, think differently about my business. And I needed so many more lessons to be learned in order to be the person who is even capable of living this life that I'm living now, of holding this business that I'm holding now. And I have to contribute that to years 1 through 4. And so wherever you are in your journey, know that these are the building blocks to the mountain that you are crafting. And also it's the steps leading to the top of that mountain, that the result of arriving there is inevitable if you keep going. Right? It's just like one foot in front of the other until you reach the top of that climb. And the only way that you can fail at reaching the top is if you stop climbing, if you stop taking steps in that direction. And so I can look at my 2025 success, and when you ask me like what contributed to this quantum leap year, this growth, I will say years 1 through 4. It was past Scarlett deciding to keep going no matter what. After every failed goal, after every zero launch, after every day waitressing, after every year of not making the money that I expected, to keep going and to keep working towards the vision and the success and to stay committed to the business. Because now I am a totally different person. The way that I think about my business, the way that I feel about my business is totally new from how it used to be. And I know that I had to become this person. And as a result, when you commit to something fully and you keep going towards it, that's when you have the opportunity to actually learn, actually receive the value and the wisdom and the lessons that are there for you. For example, looking back on 2025, not only did I commit to 100K revenue, I also committed to running 4 launches of my group program. And that was something I had never done before, to actually set the timeline far in advance. It was January of 2024, and I put all the dates down, the start dates for all 4 rounds of Empowered Abundance for the year. And I wrote them on a sticky note and I stuck them on my desk and I said, this is when the next programs start and I'm going to have launches for all of them. And again, as per usual, I did not achieve any of my launch goals for how many students I wanted to enroll in each round, but I committed and followed through on my plan and on my intention to have 4 launches. So even though I was in failure, because I committed and I kept going, then I got to learn the value and the benefits of each launch. I got to learn about what launch process and timeline works for me. I got to uncover my limiting beliefs and thoughts that were holding me back from selling clients. I got to discover what I should be doing differently in order to reach new levels of success in the future. Like, I learned so much about launches and how to be a better coach, a better entrepreneur, a better salesperson. Like, I learned so much because I stayed committed to launching, even when it, quote, wasn't working, even when it was hard, challenging, emotionally exhausting, even when I was facing failure over and over again. And so this is true in big and small ways. When I zoom out and look at past Scarlett, who committed to this business and this work no matter what, I'm so grateful for her, because it is what has gotten us here now. And also looking at Scarlett, who shows up every day and commits to aspects of her business and commits to her goals, right? All of this is what contributes to 2025 success, is the process of building momentum over time by staying committed to your vision. And this is the biggest factor Well, it's my second biggest factor. I actually have a bigger one. We're saving that for the final episode, so you're going to want to hang out for that. But building momentum over time through the power of committed action and staying committed, that is where the lessons are. That is where the learnings are. And the path that you are on can be inevitable to get you there if you keep going. And this is such an important concept in empowered abundance, because I believe that our relationship with money can be the difference between staying committed to your business, your goals, your vision, and not. Because if you are stressed about money, if you're worried about not having enough, and if you don't have awareness around what's actually happening with your money, it's going to make it really hard to keep going, because our money stress ties into our foundational needs of survival. It activates a fight or flight state. And at the end of the day, survival is key. So if you are in survival and you do need to support yourself financially and the business isn't there yet, then it's going to be hard to keep choosing your business. It's going to be hard to keep going, and you're likely to set it down, quit, give up on it, and choose survival and safety because you have to. That's how your body, your nervous system is programmed, and honestly, it makes sense. So this is why we need to make sure your survival, your finances are set so that you can be safe to keep going in your business. This is why I went and worked at the restaurants after the first year of my business, because I literally needed money. But I didn't just quit my business and give up and go to work in the restaurants. I was very intentional and conscious and strategic and said, this is how I'm going to fuel my business to keep going. And I also knew exactly how and when to fade off, because I had the financial strategy, because I had the financial awareness. And trust me, when you're in fear and lack and survival mode, it makes it really hard to sell as well too. So not only are you likely to give up on your business, or you're draining energy thinking and debating giving up on your business because of money stress and fear, and you're just leaking energy there, but also this is going to block the flow of money coming in to your business. This is a problem that a lot of people face that prevent them to actually climbing the mountain and actually arriving at the success, like the quantum leap energy that I am experiencing in 2025. But the solution is so simple. It's really just changing your relationship with money. It's learning to feel safe with your money no matter what, by how you think about your money, but also managing and being in control of your money so that you can make strategic, intentional choices with how you use your money to help you keep going in your business, so that you can get your basic financial foundational needs met and also feel safe in your business, so that we can take that scarcity out of your sales conversations, and so you can actually start bringing money in, and so you can know when is the right time to fade into your business full time. That's just the result of bringing awareness to your money. When you change your relationship with money, you're bringing awareness to your money so you can be in control of your money and in control of your life. So I am so grateful for past Scarlett for knowing how to manage her money and being strategic and intentional with her finances, because that is the reason why I was able to keep going for the long haul. Your relationship with money is it is the biggest factor contributing to your business's success, and especially because it ties directly into your ability to build momentum and to keep going, which is the first piece of wisdom, right? That's my first wisdom nugget from 2025. The biggest factors that contributed to my 2025 success, the first one is building momentum through committed action. So if you're ready to change your relationship with money so that you can commit, so that you can keep building momentum, so you can keep going towards your vision, your business, so you can arrive at the destination where you actually do achieve the goals that you set for yourself in their own natural timeline, because that's the only way it's going to happen, then Empowered Abundance can help you do exactly that. And enrollment is opening for Empowered Abundance soon. It begins January 12th, which means on January 12th, you'll have the opportunity to book a consultation with me where we will explore where you are now, where you want to go, what your most abundant vision looks like, and if you're ready to take control of your money, break free from scarcity, and step fully into your next level of abundance, then my Empowered Abundance program is here to help you do exactly that. Inside, you'll learn how to transform your relationship with money, manage it with confidence, and use it as a tool to make your vision a reality. Head to thebizhippie.com/abundance to learn more and take the first step. And if you loved this episode, let's share this message with the world. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and pass it on to someone who needs to hear this. Until next time, here's to abundance. Exact steps to take to bring that vision into reality, and then how Empowered Abundance can support you in making that life real. So you'll be able to book your consult with me on January 12th. Stay tuned for that. And that is my first episode for you. Get excited for the next 3 episodes where we're going deeper into 3, 2, and 1 impacts on my 2025 success. Have a great rest of your Money Monday, and I will see you next week.